The key to mastering the skill of having great conversations is learning to ask great questions. Whether you are talking to your child when they get home from school, or a person you're on a first date with, or your spouse that you've been married to for 30 years, you can turn any conversation into an opportunity to connect if you learn to ask great questions. Hi everyone, I'm Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And great questions that create conversation and connection will engage the other person's heart and mind in 3 different areas. Imagine you're with a friend and you ask the question, what was your favorite vacation when you were a kid and why? Or you ask the question, what's a dream vacation you would like to go on someday? Well, as they try to answer that question, there are 3 different parts of them that are going to be engaged. First, their imagination is going to be engaged as they remember what it was like at the Grand Canyon, or as they remember what it was like going to their uncle's farm, or as they imagine themselves in the future lying on a beach in Hawaii or taking their kids to Disney World. Their imagination is going to be turned on in order to answer that question. Secondly, great questions engage the emotions. They engage the heart as well as the mind. And so as they're thinking about that favorite vacation, they may be feeling that sense of wonder that they had, or delight that they had at seeing farm animals up close for the first time, or the sense of awe of seeing the Grand Canyon. They may be anticipating a sense of calm and peace laying on a beach in Hawaii, or a sense of excitement and joy playing with their kids at Disney World. The third part of the person that's engaged with great questions is you engage their values. Their values come into play when trying to figure out what was my favorite vacation growing up? What made that my favorite vacation, right? Those are things that go through their mind. Or what would my dream vacation be? What's really important to me? And so great questions engage the person's imagination, their emotions, and their values. Now, remember in our last video on self-disclosure, we talked about that when you're creating connection, you want to start on the shallow end of the pool with things that are low risk, and then move up into the deeper end of the pool to higher risk questions as trust is developed in the relationship. That means that if you want to create great conversations, you need to pick questions that are appropriate for whatever level, depth of the pool you're in, right? And so if you're just meeting someone or you're on a first date, you want to ask questions that are easy to answer, that are quick to answer, and that create positive emotions in the person. Now, if you've been married to someone for 20 years, you could ask something like, what's one career decision you wish you could do over and why? Something that may take a little bit more thought to answer, something there may be some quiet space, some dead space while you're talking, right? And that's okay because you've built up trust, something that the emotions may not be as positive as what's your dream vacation, but that's okay because there's more trust, right? So pick a question that's appropriate for whatever level of the pool you're in creating connection. Now, let me give you a hint for coming up with great questions. Think about something that you would like the other person to know about you, something that about yourself that would be fun to talk about. So it would be fun for you to talk about your dream vacation. It would be fun for you to talk about your favorite author and your favorite book that you read and how that author became your favorite. Whatever it is, think about something that you would like to talk about yourself, and create a question about that to ask the other person. And this will do 2 things for you. The first thing it will do is it will help you gauge the risk level of the question, because the nature of self-disclosure is it tends to be reciprocal, and people tend to go, one step at a time into the pool deeper and deeper. If you feel comfortable talking about it, then the chances are it's the right risk level for the other person as well. The second thing that this will do for you is it will help you create an actual conversation, because after you ask them what is your dream vacation, and they've spent some time talking about that, it's very natural to say, wow, that was fun to hear. My dream vacation would be, and then you can talk. And it creates a conversation that's very natural. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that good questions tend to be open-ended questions. They're questions that can be answered in hundreds and hundreds of different ways. Whereas questions that are close-ended, that are generally have a yes or no answer, or limiting questions that have just one or two or three different answers are not good questions. So if your 7-year-old comes home from school and you say, hey, how was your day today? They're going to say fine, and no conversation is going to happen. But if they come home and you say, did anything happen today that made you laugh? Right? There's lots of different ways they may answer that question. There's a lots of different things that they can say in answer to that question, and that's more likely to create a conversation. Now, sometimes it's helpful to ask a limiting question in order to get to an open-ended question. For example, you're at a sports bar and there's someone you just met and you're obviously both interested in sports, and so you may ask, what's your favorite sports team of all time? And then after they answer that, then you can ask open-ended questions about that, like how did they become your favorite sports team? Or what are your top 3 or 4 favorite moments as a fan of that team? And that can create a lot of fun conversation and connection. So let me encourage you to practice this with this video. Think about a few connecting opportunities you have coming up. It may be time with your kids, it may be getting together with a friend, maybe a first date, or it may be, date night with your spouse you've been married to for 20 years. But before you get there, sit down and write out 3 or 4 questions for each of those connecting opportunities, things that would be enjoyable and fun for you to talk about, and enjoyable and fun for you to hear from the other persons, and have those questions ready before you meet with them and see what difference it makes. Remember, you are responsible for creating the connection that you need in life, and being able to ask great questions and create good conversations is a great way to do that. Simple steps. Practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.